alcohol is associated with partying and lifestyle, all the branding behind it. Like, I mean, every event I play is not only surrounded by alcohol, but sponsored by alcohol. All the commercials for those brands are like, we're in a Jeep going to the beach, drinking this thing, or like, we're surfing, we're skydiving, just like always the most ridiculous, like, you drink this, you live this crazy life. And again, I just think it's like a hollow lie.
So today we're going to have on Pat, aka Jaenga. Stop it. Okay, so you have been all over the world as a reputable DJ. You used to shoot Maybelline commercials, Essie commercials, L'Oreal commercials. You have your own film production studio in New York. Some of your clients include Lil Wayne, Steve Aoki. Your DJ name is Jaenga, and you play under the record label Deadbeats with artists like Zed's Dead, very, very famous artists that play all over the world. So Jenga is, there's no doubt about it, the center of the party pretty much all the time. And you used to drink quite a lot, I think. It sounds like me too. When you were younger, now you're 31, which is obviously still really young. But you no longer drink anymore, and that's something that you just decided to stay away from. But you keep the, kind of party lifestyle with your career, and you're surrounded by it like all the time. Celebrities drinking, your fans drinking, your peers drinking, pretty much everywhere you go. I'm just curious, I guess, to start this, something that I talked about a lot here. There's people that they want to understand when I talk about, breaking the program essentially that we all get stuck in with drinking. I think some people really want to understand like what that means or how I got there. And the truth is, like, I did not want to stop drinking. I talk about that sometimes. I didn't want to stop. I was almost like slapped so hard in the face with reality and I had spent so many years trying to control my drinking and failing. To give up something that is perceived happiness feels awful. Like, it felt awful for me before I decided to stop drinking. But then once I got enough space from it, like, I realized I had so much more peace in my life and a lot more happiness that was consistent. And then that's when the programming really broke, meaning I didn't want it anymore. Like, I didn't feel like that is where my source of fun came from. But, for you, did you for a while see alcohol as the fun? You didn't always have this idea, this mentality of like, it's freedom to not drink. There had to be a point in time where you were like, this is my fun. like.
No, yeah. Alcohol was my freedom.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up in I wouldn't say a small town, but a town called Westchester, New York, and we would go up to the cliffs, which was like, this little mountainous area in our town, and we would drink 40s, and we'd get bottles of whiskey and just chill out. I mean, it was like that was our idea of freedom. We go to the city and we drink. Like, when it's the weekend, when it's a Tuesday, when it's a Thursday, if nobody's doing anything. Like, that was our idea of freedom, because what we got to do was get on this like spiritual level. We would just drink, sit there, get on the spiritual level where like everything melts away, like reality melts away. And
Right.
we would talk about what we want to do with our lives. And that was so addictive to me. Like that like place where we could be in this sort of like
It's like
embryonic
euphoria.
state, and what's that?
It's like euphoria in a
Oh,
sense.
total euphoria. And like and everything is good. Like, we're sitting there and we're just like talking about our dreams, like young kids. I mean, like from the age of 19 to whatever, like my mid 20s. Like, we'd always do this. We would get drunk and then talk about our dreams and all the things we want to do. And it wasn't until I got into my later 20s, I think actually mid 20s, I started realizing this. There was a very scary state of reality that I realized I was living in, which is all these conversations that I was having down at the local bar down the street, when we go to the cliffs, when we all go to the beach and talk about our future. Like, we were always kind of projecting what we want to do and then getting rid of the things in our current life that are serving no good to us. So because of the state of euphoria we were living in, we would manifest and get rid of the current problems. But then we wake up the next morning and have to deal with the current problems and realize that our future doesn't exist. And it was one night I was down at the local pub in my town, and I was talking with one of my friends about his future and what he wanted to do with his future. And I realized that we had been talking about his same future for like 4 years now, and he has not taken one step towards it.
Damn. And
And
that
that was
was he.
so scary. That was like so scary to me because then I'm thinking about myself and I'm like, am I doing the same thing?
Was he a heavy drinker? Was it like he drank a lot?
Definitely. Yeah.
So like that's yeah, like that was the same with me. Like I want to do this thing. I will be this person. I'm going to achieve this thing. And I think a lot of people, again, like it's all personal, right? There are some people that can drink and do the thing and make it happen. And like, you know, if they have a good lifestyle with it and it works for them and they're healthy and all that, power to them. People like me, though, like I just couldn't execute on those things and get it done. So I think I was sort of stuck in a stagnant place for a while as well, as like what you were saying your friend was like. And it's, for me, it was definitely attributed to that cycle of just drinking, being hungover, recovering, feeling good for a day, doing it all over again. And you think your friend and was caught up in that, and then you started to see yourself in a mirror as somebody who might be falling into the same thing, or at least questioning it, which is terrifying. Like that sucks.
Totally questioned it. Totally questioned it. Yeah.
So for me, I spent years considering not drinking. It was really something that I didn't fully start considering, like being scared about. I was scared before I considered stopping drinking, I guess I should say. I was scared about my habits with it. And that was probably junior year of college, going into senior year. But it's so common to drink in college. It's just everywhere. And like, that's fine, you know, again, if people can hang. But I think there's a lot of people that can't hang, and it's sort of disguised when you're in school or when you're just in environments where it's so common. For me, I remember one of my friends sort of called me out on something stupid I had done when I was drinking, which was not only embarrassing, but also like shameful to have one of your best friends talk to you about it. You're just like, damn. And so that really started my process of being like, okay. But then, you know, it still wasn't it was still at least 4 years or something after that I had still drank. So in those following 4 years, I started witnessing my mom's addiction getting really, really bad and experiencing what she was going through. And that whole time, you know, she was dealing with financial, you know, difficulties, personal stuff. And, you know, she's the best person I know. So it was like kind of crazy because she shouldn't be dealing with these things because she's amazing. So I was witnessing all of this. She's my best friend, telling her basically that if she just stopped drinking, all of her problems would go away. And I would just tell her so many times because I lived with her. And I think that started to deconstruct my view of alcohol, because I would still drink during those times, but I was telling my mom that alcohol was just ruining her life, and trying to get her to see that. And then over time, that started to reveal to me that, wait, I'm not that much different than my mom. And that for me scared me, because what if that's me in 30 years? What if that's what I do? What if that's what happens, you know, in my life? And it just catches me off guard like it did her. Was there something that became like a final straw for you that made you just see it differently? Or was there something that I guess was the catalyst to you really changing in a big way versus just thinking about it?
Absolutely. I had decided to stop drinking, like I said, after that Thanksgiving. And I got a call from my brother. You know, the family knew that, you know, my dad, you know, was struggling with alcohol. And I got a call from my brother that my best friend, my dad, had died. And you know, to even try to describe the state of mind that you're in when you get a phone call like that is, you know, pointless. It's something that, you know, most of us will have to face it, you know, one day. but the state in which it happened um, was obviously something relatable to why I decided to stop drinking. And it was that moment after that phone call that my brain went into fight or flight mode. And I had to decide, am I going to escape this reality that I'm living in, just like I used to do when I was younger, and just like I used to do up into my mid 20s? Or am I going to deal with it right now? And that was the path I chose to take, which was to deal with it and to suffer the pain and to go through the grieving process here, present, conscious, and willing to do the work. And that's the route I chose to take. And I realized that if I do this now, which could possibly be the hardest point of my entire life, possibly, then nothing else that comes about is going to be as challenging.
So deal with the feelings without drinking all of that away too.
Right.
Not drowning it. Yeah.
Not relying on the escapism of what alcohol provides, which is a lie, to begin with. It's really not. All it's doing is, giving you a little bit of happiness, but it's stealing it from tomorrow. So you're going to have to deal with the repercussions tomorrow, and it's going to be even worse.
Which is like, this is the thing too, this you can apply that to so many things. People didn't even know that fast food was as bad as it was, or different types, like non-organic food, let's just say, until these documentaries started coming out about what is actually going on in the food. I don't even think I had any knowledge that sugar was as bad for you as it is until there's different books and podcasts and movies coming out about it. And I love sugar. Oh my God. Coffee even, which I gave up for 3 months, that kind of thing. So it's like, there's certain things, it's not just alcohol. We don't, it's not like alcohol is this evil thing necessarily. It's more that we have to just, like, there's two sides to it, right? Like, sugar tastes great, and it can be a great thing to create in a birthday cake, which creates so much joy and fun for everybody and all that. But if you have too much birthday cake, then you're effed for tomorrow. Or if you don't understand your relationship to the sugar in the cake, and you don't pay attention to that, then something worse can come from it. It's just like all of that. So I think that was something that I really had to acknowledge, that it's hard to do when you're in your 20s, because everybody drinks, and it's a social thing. It's what you do. It's how you connect with people in a lot of ways. In most cities, when you decided to stop drinking, did you know anybody else who didn't drink? Because you were like 28 or something, right? When you decided, yeah.
I think I was 28. Yeah.
Did you know anybody else?
No, I don't think I knew anybody that didn't drink. I mean, I went to I think I went to an AA meeting just to like check it out, because my dad would, always go to them. And actually, I went to his AA meeting, and now that I think of it, because I wanted to like meet his friends, and I remember just sitting there and just being like, "Dang, I'm the youngest guy in the room. Like, this is interesting." I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody that stopped drinking already at this age. It seems that like it's always so polarizing with people. If you're at a bar, or if I'm at a show or something, and somebody offers a drink and I say I don't drink, if I say I don't drink, they go, either they think I have a problem with alcohol, like oh man, you must have been a really bad alcoholic,
Right.
or like I'm on like antibiotics or something. They're like, oh, like you on some medication, and I'm like, nah, I just don't drink.
I've literally had guys offer me a drink at a bar, and then I'm like, oh, they'll like ask again, do you want this? I'm like, no, I'm fine. And they're like, do you want this? I'm like, no, I actually don't drink, just to like seal the deal.
Right.
And they're like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Like, I'm so, like, as if like I was recovering or something. And like, they're just like, oh my, like they just were giving crack to a former crack addict or something like that, And
right. Like, oh man, like I almost ruined this girl's life by giving her a glass of, whatever, like a
Chardonnay, I don't know. Yeah.
margarita or something.
Yeah. It's very polarizing, you're right. So I think a lot of why I like to have these conversations is not to like I think people need to see that there are people out there that don't drink, and you don't have to be so far on one side necessarily. No one here is anti-alcohol. It's a matter of like figuring out what works for you, but I find it so fascinating because there's so many people. I would say almost everybody in this world, everybody we know has at least one person they know in their family who's died from alcoholism or seriously suffers from alcoholism, whether it's a family or a friend, and yet we all continue to kind of like drink. I don't know how to put this. We all continue to live as if it's not happening, and that's what's weird about it, because like that's it's the reality is that people really struggle with their relationship to alcohol, and that you don't have to be this like raging alcoholic person who's lost everything to decide to stop drinking. That doesn't mean you're square. That doesn't mean you don't go party and have. I mean, you're the guy throwing the party.
If
You
if
know?
if eating bananas led to potentially ending up in jail, dying, or living a miserable life, like if there was a chance of eating bananas that did that, I would probably stop eating bananas, like because I'd be like, damn, like I don't want to end up in jail or die or like, lose all my money because I was drunk and whatever, like, or, eating
Yeah,
bananas and then all that stuff happened. So like, but it's such a downer to bring it up. Like,
yeah, like a
because
buzzkill.
alcohol is associated with partying and lifestyle, all the branding behind it. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
every event I play is not only surrounded by alcohol, but
yeah,
they are sponsored by alcohol. All the commercials for those brands are like, we're in a Jeep going to the beach, drinking this thing, or like,
yeah.
we're surfing, or like we're skydiving, just like always like the most like ridiculous, like you drink this,
We're doing this
you live
thing.
this crazy life. And like, again, I just think it's like a hollow lie. I mean, it's just like you do those things on your own intuition. You do those things because you wanted to buy the tickets to go skydiving. You do those things because you wanted to learn how to surf. You do those things because you've never mountain biked before, but you're going to do it. And that's what you want to do. You're not going to do it because you drank a bottle of Tito's and then magically now you're just like a surfer. It's like the whole branding thing. And believe me, like I'm in branding. I mean, it's like what I did for Maybelline, Redken, Essie, you name it. Music videos for other artists when I was younger, and now my own brand as an artist myself. Just like everything I do, I make all my own art. I make my own videos. Like,
Yeah,
it,
and you're good at it. You're
well,
really good
thank
at
you.
it.
I
It's
appreciate
like impressive. So you understand. Well, you understand, and what I'm saying is like you understand what's appealing, right? Which you understand how to create a happy feeling within people, which is what alcohol ads do. They understand how to curate that feeling of anticipation of
that. It's
something great
exciting.
coming. So
It's exciting. What
yeah,
is it
it's exciting.
like if I'm sitting at a board meeting, I'm trying to sell, a new Corona thing. Like, what is it going to be? Well, dang, let's like be scuba divers, like, and then like we come up from the water and we're wearing the most like dope scuba outfit, and then guess what? We crack a Corona on our like dope little boat because life is just amazing, and like it's just like thanks to Corona, all this is happening, It's like or none of this is validated unless we crack a Corona.
Right. Like it's not, you're not, you didn't climb the 14er unless you have a beer at the top of it. And that's what
Totally,
you know?
totally.
Yeah, I believe that's part of the matrix that I'm always talking about. It's that perception. It's that perception generated by advertising that's just designed to create profit. It's not even malicious, really. It's just completely expected. They just want to sell product. That's it. And so they have a lot of money to push product out there. And the problem is that we just see it everywhere because alcohol ads are literally everywhere, and everybody's kind of in on it.
The only thing I'll say about of course, if you like something that's branded well, like if you like alcohol and it's branded well, then that's dope. Like, if I like to drink Tito's and they are marketing Tito's in a really cool way, well, I like Tito's, they market it cool, so I'm going to drink Tito's. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think what they're doing is malicious by branding it in the way they do. But I will say this: comparison is the thief of joy. And I think because we're in such a scroll stopping culture these days, where it's just like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Swipe up, swipe left, swipe right. Like,
Yeah.
what's this person doing? We're constantly comparing. And when you see a commercial like that, you go, that person's doing that. I'm sitting here in my apartment. I'm not skydiving. There is something that's being hijacked in us. And it is a comparison thing. I mean, we are constantly on these social media platforms, addicted to them because they're addictive. It's just plain and simple. So, comparison being the thief of joy, I would just watch that with ourselves, because ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about our own happiness.
Right.
And it's not up to other people. The moment that we can forgive ourselves, love ourselves unconditionally, and know what is good for us personally, and not worry about validating ourselves in the eyes of other people, that's when we're going to start to find peace in our lives. And that's when we're going to start to see the truth.
Right.
And to make this in a very practical, a bit more of just a solid example. If you're at a party and somebody gives you a shot and you're standing there and you're thinking, am I going to be a buzzkill if I don't take this? Or am I not going to be affirmed by these people if I don't take this? If your own happiness is telling you don't want to wake up hungover the next morning, or that I don't know, rip your clothes off and run down the street every time you drink tequila, then
Many people
maybe
do. Many do.
maybe now is the time to really harness that like inner love and love yourself and protect yourself. And if you like drinking alcohol, then obviously love yourself and drink the alcohol. If that's what's gonna make your night awesome, then do it. But if you know it's not, then don't worry about appeasing others. Don't worry about the way that they see you. Just worry about yourself, and let other people drink. It's all good.
All good.
No matter where I went, no matter what state I flew into, what show I'm playing, I always have people shoving alcohol in my face. The free alcohol too. So why would I
Yeah.
not take it? Like, it's all free and you get to party all the time.
And you're like the most popular one there. Everybody's there for you.
And yeah, if it's your show, then everyone's there for you. So it's always
Yeah.
celebration time. And that is the caveat. I think that's where I realized that this free thing was actually taxing my entire life. And it wasn't until I changed my perspective on it, because my dad grew up drinking. I grew up drinking with my dad. I would drink a pint of vodka on my way to New York City before I even got to the city on a 40-minute train ride. And once I got into the city, then I'll go to a bar and start drinking more with all my friends. I mean, I would say that at points in my life I was a heavy drinker, and at points in
Yeah.
my life I was a normal drinker. I never considered myself an alcoholic per se, but I did start to change my view on what alcohol is, and all it had done to me in my life was slow things down. So I feel freedom now instead of
Yeah.
like restraint. When I see all the alcohol in the green room, or when I see people partying and wanting to take a shot or whatever, it is almost a reminder to me that, hey, you get to wake up feeling great tomorrow. Like, every time I see the alcohol, it's just like, boom, you don't have to drink me. You're going to wake up feeling great tomorrow. And I'm like, awesome. That's friggin' great, And I'll
Yeah.
get my kicks elsewhere. Like, I don't need to be drunk to feel good and to live my life. At the end of the day, it always comes down to the same thing, which is like, I'm not against that lifestyle. and
Right.
obviously wasn't for my entire life up until a few years ago. And
And how long ago was it that you stopped? Sorry, just really quick.
yeah, yeah, I stopped almost like 2.5, maybe 3 years ago at this point.
That's right. You're like a little bit right, like right after I decided to stop, kind of right in that same lane.
Right.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So I would say I'd say like it just depends on like who you are, and like does it work for you or does it not work for you? And in my own world, the way I look at it is it just comes down to like your happiness.
Well, I think the last question I have for you off of that, which is a really good point, is your productivity. Talking about, for yourself, right? Your level of creating the life you want, that you're happy in. Once you adjusted your lifestyle with alcohol, did your productivity in terms of your relationships go up or down? Friendships, personal relationships, like the production in terms of, I guess, creating the life you want with that in mind. Did it make things easier for you?
I can't explain how much more productive I am.
Yeah.
It's like it's day and night. Not only that, my mood is like way more stagnant.
Yeah.
There's no peaks and valleys anymore.
Which probably
Um,
affects all of your relationships in a good way because you're just,
it affects everything because in my own career, I've always been confident. You know, I've chosen something that I believe is my own gift. Like I believe everybody has their own gift. So like my confidence has like always been decent with what I chose because I knew that's my thing. But after stopping alcohol, it's like it's a different level. It's like I keep a whiteboard and I keep a to-do list. That to-do list before I stop drinking could take me forever to get through.
mm,
Sometimes, depending on what that list is, I can get through it in one day. I could just burn through
fly.
it.
Yeah. And you're a
Just
productive dude. Like you just, and you
just
have
fly
time to do the
through it.
fun stuff too. That's what's wild. You've always impressed me with that. You go, you do the day. I mean, you wake up, you work out, you get your work done, and then you're done at like whatever time you decide to be done, since it's generally your own schedule and you work remote, you work from home, and you go have fun and you go out and you throw the parties. And I just, yeah, I think it's awesome.
Totally, totally. I definitely have more fun not drinking
Yeah.
because
The irony in
my
that.
idea of a fun life is accomplishing my dreams, and I wasn't doing that when I was drinking. I was doing it super slow, and maybe I would achieve most of my dreams by the time I was like 130 years old, at the
Yeah.
rate I was going. But I want to achieve them all by the time I'm 40. I don't, so I can make a new list. And
More will come. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, yeah, the amount of work I put out since stopping drinking is is just wild. It's absolutely wild.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being on. You go ahead and say where everybody can find you.
If you go on Instagram, you can find me.
What
I
is
make
it?
a lot of really stupid videos and
What's your Instagram?
Jaenga music. Jaenga. It's not
Cool.
Jenga. That is the block game.
It's not that. It's Jaenga. Everybody check them out. I appreciate your time. Pat, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. And until the next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Lauren. I appreciate it.